Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Brian here for Downloadable Opinions. I'm joined by the ever-popular, ever-nice Adam.
Thank you for the honor.
And the other one, Amsel.
They lock me in the basement.
We try to bring him out for these podcasts, but, we have to get all the whips and chains off him first. Anyways.
Please do not feed the creature.
Do not feed the creature. Welcome to episode 2.5. I say 0.5 because we just did this episode a couple days ago, but I forgot to record it, and therefore we're back again, and everyone's just so happy to be here to re-record an episode. But anyways, we're going to get right into it with our first story of the day of Minecraft landing on the Xbox 360. For a grand total of 1,600 Microsoft points, you too can download Minecraft for Xbox Live Arcade, or on the Xbox Live Arcade platform. It is essentially the full game of Minecraft, minus a few little bits and little items that do special things. I've been playing it for the past 5 days non-stop religiously on Adam's server and been building my own version of Columbia in the Sky. Columbia, I mean from the BioShock Infinite game, and it's working out pretty nice. But anyways, I've been playing it a lot. I'm really loving it. What do you guys think of the Minecraft game? Go ahead, Adam.
I'm loving your cloud in the sky, by the way, because it's making a very good umbrella when it rains.
It's true. It's this big thing that blots out the sun. I originally thought it was going to be like the Mr. Burns evil blocking out the sun thing from The Simpsons, but Columbia kind of works better.
Yeah, no, I'm loving it. I mean, minus a couple things that happened on the server, we recently had a Empire State Building that was recreated and was then recreated again by lava flowing over it, so... And it took 4 hours to burn down. It took forever. But I am happy to see the game on the Xbox. I never did get a chance to play it on the PC myself, so to be able to get the opportunity to do this and being able to play it online with friends, being as much as 8 at one time, which I haven't experienced yet, although I'm afraid that with 5 already and the lag being that bad, I'm not sure how 8's going to handle, but... I mean, the fact that it is just such an addictive game. Like, I have not stopped playing this game. I should be playing something else. I've been trying to finish Mass Effect 2 all over again, and I haven't even touched it since I got this thing, so it's ridiculous to me. Like, even in it's the base version, too. We're going to be getting updates sooner or later, and the fact that this is killing me already, and we haven't even gotten all the good stuff that the PC has right now is just astonishing to me.
Mm-hmm. Amsel?
I have not played it. I have not
Boo!
I have not played it on the Xbox. With that being said, since I am a Minecraft noob, what would you even call me? Like a mine noob or something? Anyways, what would you guys recommend? Because I imagine you, at least you, Brian, has probably played it on the PC and now the Xbox. What would, in your personal opinion, be better? Is it better on the PC or is it better on the 360?
I gotta say it's a lot better on the 360, mainly because you get to play with friends, and the drop-in, drop-out capabilities that the Xbox 360 has is pretty awesome, because, I mean, I've been playing at Adam's server, and, like, there's just, he's got a bunch of people from his forums. What's your forum that you, use?
Critical Strike.
Critical Strike, we'll have a link to that later. But
free advertising.
True. But, like, there's people in there, and, like, you get to see all their, things that they make, and then they leave, and then some new people come in, they leave, build stuff, and it's just cool to see all this, like, we have this little town, this little community going on, that if I were to just play this solo, it would take me forever to build, and, like, it would not be as fun if I didn't have those people there. That's what I feel. It's better on the 360 in my opinion, but I know you can get those experiences on the PC, it's just that they're not as easy to obtain.
The gist that I've gotten from my friends from that have played both versions is that the PC is a better controlling version, but the 360 is offered so much more fun because of the 8-person servers. So,
that's interesting. That's really interesting. Thank you for your insight, and hopefully anybody else who has not played it yet, it looks like Xbox is the place to be.
Yes, it is true, and you too can own it for, like I said, about 1,600 Microsoft points, which works out to about, $20 some odd dollars, depending on where you live. It's a great little game that you can play and have fun with your friends. But anyways, moving on to our next story. Now, I don't have a lot of information on this, but a Final Fantasy remake is being canceled. I'm pretty sure it's going to be available through PSN and download for either the PlayStation 3 or the Vita. we do know that Final Fantasy X is in the remake pipeline, but it wasn't that. Who wants to tell the community? Who wants to crush these people's hopes and dreams?
Let the villain of our group take over.
Adam, what game was canceled?
Shattered their dreams.
It was 7.
Final Fantasy VII, the game that has so much, hype about it, so many fans that just want to see a remake, a new HD remake of their game that they love. And Square Enix has thrown in so many things to these guys. They've made, was it Crisis Core for the PSP? They made a whole CG movie.
Having Children for the DVD. They made Dirge Cerberus for the PS2, the Vincent third-person shooter.
I mean, Final Fantasy VII fans have had so much more attention given to them, and yet the one thing they've all wanted is this one little remake from Square, but they're not going to get it. So what do you guys think about this, anyways?
I mean, Oh, go ahead, I'm so sorry.
I feel like I should correct this. This whole story came out with one of the creators. I don't know his name. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it.
I think it was Tetsuya Nomura.
I think that guy. He's Japanese.
It's the guy. I think it's the same guy that's doing Kingdom Hearts right now.
Yeah. What he came out and said that the remake is not a priority. So in a way, it is that they're not gonna do it, but it's not completely gone. I would say. To be honest with you, they should probably put it to rest, and it probably is more of a just drop it already. Mm-hmm. Story.
Well, if they're saying it's not a priority, I mean, Square must know that this is going to make, it's going to sell at least 1 million copies just overnight, in terms of the amount of people that want to relive this game. They're obviously using that as, put that in their back pocket as a, just in case we need money, let's make this game.
Because they don't need it now. They are making profits again. Deus Ex and Final Fantasy 13 too. They finally had a couple good games coming out, because they've had some real bad years lately.
Yeah.
So, I mean, right now, I agree. I think they are saving it in their back pocket for when they're like, oh, shit, we're going to go bankrupt.
And that might be another reason why Final Fantasy X is getting an entire remake as well, is that it was a cash cow. Because apart from Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy X is probably the most played game in the Final Fantasy series, I would say. I mean, people will argue to me, but, it was the first game to have all the voiceovers. It was the first one on the PS2. And just people bought that and just kept eating it up and eating it up.
I mean, I understand why the 7 fans don't like it, because their common excuse to me is when they hear the 10 it gets its remake first, is, well, what about 10 too? That was such a bad game, they ruined it. Most people who are fans of 10 don't really think of 10 too as a piece of it anymore.
No, we don't.
Cough, cough, Charlie's Angels, Final Fantasy, cough, cough.
Pretty well. But yeah, no, I mean... The Final Fantasy remakes, it puts the precedent into other gamers, or other game developers' minds that if they ever need more cash, they can just go back into the library and make their old games again for the current gen systems.
Because, I mean, when you think about it, how many games have gotten HD remakes? So many of them.
Well, the God of War series got an HD remake for the PS3.
I mean, we just talked about it before we started this podcast. Tony Hawk's The Original is getting its HD remake now.
Which I think will be really cool if they bring back the entire soundtrack, because they had really good songs in that one.
As long as they don't make it attached with the peripheral.
I think they're just going to bury all those peripherals, all 1 million of them, in some very, very large grave.
Next to Harmonix's Rock Band and Guitar Hero equipment.
Exactly, yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, some remakes would be kind of cool to see. Some remakes, I question Final Fantasy X, but I understand it, and it will be fun to play it again. But anyways, if anyone else got anything to say on that?
Well, I want to say something on the subject of remakes.
Yeah.
For example, Combat Evolved.
Hey, quit your typing. Who's typing?
Quit your typing, Adam.
Oop, my bad.
Yeah, you're bad.
Yeah.
Anyways, Ansel, you were saying.
I was saying about the Halo Combat Evolved remake. They were saying, of course, it's going to be a cash thing. They wanted to make money out of it. But what they were coming out and saying was that this was the way Halo was supposed to be. The HD graphics, the gameplay, and everything. Mm-hmm. This is how it was meant to be. And I think that's true with a lot of remakes nowadays, is because we have this technology available. Game developers want to go back and actually get their entire experience through, because it's true, it's updated, it's brand new. This is what video games were meant to be.
Yeah, but
I think that's why a lot of HD remakes are coming out.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of games can say this is how it was meant to be, but they were limited by the stuff that they had at the time. I mean, like, I have a problem with people going back and saying, like, okay, we're going to remake, like, I don't know, let's say remake a Chrono Trigger, let's just say. Like, go back from the ground up, we're going to build this game back up again. It would be awesome, but there's still going to be that kind of, for the platform of the time, you had a lot of fun, and you had so much fun playing that platform that, I don't know what I'm trying to say here, it's just that it's, at the time, it's not going to be the same experience.
And I'm not sure.
Go ahead, Adam.
I'm not sure that, taking it away from 8-bit really solves anything. I mean, the only reason, we could always say, well, they did it to Final Fantasy III, but that's also because we never got it. We never ever got to play that game when it came out on the Super Nintendo, so to make it somewhat 3D-ish on the not on the 3DS, but the DS, that's understandable. But taking something that we got in 8-bit form and then redoing it to make it look all flashy now, like, it kind of almost ruins the experience, because to us back in the day, 8-bit still were, like, if we had it our way, we'd love to still see 8-bit games.
Well, to a degree, we'd love to see 8-bit games
come back. Think about it. We were all happy to see the new Mega Mans.
Yeah. Well, we are seeing a lot of that return to the side-scroller action with platforms like the iOS or Android, basically the mobile platforms. Because, like, look at Angry Birds, look at all the success that they're having on just having, a 2D game, essentially.
Yeah, but that's a casual game. The reason why that game is so popular is A, it's because it's like 99 cents. B, it's also like moms, pops, little kids, and all they have to do is just slide their finger. There's no actual immersive story or depth or anything into it.
But like I said in, I think, the last episode, or maybe the episode that we lost, they made Final Fantasy and they made Chrono Trigger for iOS, and they've been selling extremely well on the iOS marketplace.
Nostalgia almost sells as well as sex does.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah. But anyways.
Can I just say one more thing?
Absolutely.
Since we were talking about Final Fantasy.
Yep.
How stupid does the new 3DS Theatrhythm title looks?
Theatrhythm? Okay, this I have not heard of. What is this?
It's kind of like a music game. It's a rhythm game, but you're like you're either tapping or dragging with the stylus while it's going to old music. But the problem I have is while they're playing the music, like for example, there's a clip that IGN posted for the field theme from 7, and all you hear in the background is with the music, all you hear is every time you tap. It's really annoying.
Wow, that's something that's going to have to get cleared up in QA.
Because, when you play Rock Band, you don't hear boom, boom every time you're picking a note. Mm. But when you're playing it with this game, you hear a shink every time you tap something. Like, if you want to listen to the music, that's kind of distracting.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, there are some games that use that to its effect. Like Elite Beat Agents for the DS had a little, like a pow sound every time you hit the buttons that would go off with the music. But they were timed with the music. Like, it went off and it made sense that those sounds were there. But if it's just like swing, 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 and then like it doesn't match up to the beat at all, then it's just going to be annoying.
Yeah. I've seen like the extreme difficulty versions too. That's like seizure-ific difficulty. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But of course, everybody will be happy, especially the Sevens fans, because they're going to have to play One Wing Angel like 10 times in a row.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's no doubt about that. So many of those online. But yeah, anyways, that's enough about remakes. Let's move on to, we would be remiss as a game show if we did not acknowledge that Diablo 3 came out, yesterday? Yep.
May 15th, Diablo Day. Evil will reign supreme.
Yes, and it's facing not a lot of problems, but it is facing some kind of problems with basically people actually playing the game. Diablo, as many of you know, is not an MMO. It is a single player, and I think it's up to 8 or 4-player multiplayer through basically, I think it's Battle.net now. But for the single-player experience, it used to be with Diablo, you never have to sign into Battle.net. You would just log in, your PC would work, and boom, you'd be into the single-player experience. Now you have to sign into Battle.net's actual servers in order for you to play a single-player game on your own computer. So your computer's pretty much going, hey, Blizzard servers, please give me access to my character and my game, and then come back, and then whatever. So, as you know, Diablo 3, massive game. Lots of people playing it, very first day. Servers not really crashing, but can't accept all the new players at the same time. So everyone gets the little error 37 or 34, whatever it may be, saying, you cannot connect to the server. Server is down. Whatever. Server. So many games are taking this to their little other games, like Max Payne that came out on the same day as you may be, Max Payne doesn't have any servers, so enjoy your single-player experience. EVE Online also had a little thing with 37, 300, or 3,000, another number. All this means to EVE players is that the server is online and you can play in our universe because it's one server, one constant universe for 10,000 people, 20,000 people. But anyways, what do you guys think of Diablo 3? Amsel.
To be honest with you, I know a lot of people have been looking forward to this game. Obviously, it's been years and years upon in the making. I remember playing the first and second Diablo, and I had great times with it too. To pick up Diablo 3 after such a long time, and to meet something like this, it's kind of like a slap in the face. I am very disappointed in Blizzard that they were not ready for this. I don't know why they weren't. This is the most pre-ordered Blizzard game to this date, and it's just kind of scary that they just did not prepare for it. It's just like people were expecting this year. They were all excited. Go home, and I know I was at work and receiving calls all day. My Diablo's not working. Well, sorry, nothing I could do about it. So it was a lot of frustration, a lot of anger for a game that was so highly anticipated. It's just shocking. It's just sad. Shame on you, Blizzard. Shame on you.
I don't know what's worse, actually, because I didn't think anything could have been worse when Modern Warfare 3 came out and Call of Duty Elite did not work. It straight up failed.
Yeah.
I'm not sure which is worse. I would say, actually, Diablo would be worse because it is part of the game itself. Like, you didn't have to have Elite, but, man, I can't understand that excuse from either Blizzard or Activision. Technically, it's the same company now. But, how can you not expect either Call of Duty or Diablo being massive you should always be expecting huge sales, so why aren't you prepared for it? It makes no sense.
Well, I think they were just underestimating how many people would be out there. I think most of the server issues have been cleared up at this point. But the first day, the first couple hours, I mean, any server would really, really chug if you've got millions upon millions of players doing it at the same time. But yeah.
I think it's more disappointing than anything, really. It's, again, like I was saying, this game's been years in the making, and then you deal with something like that. It's just, it creates a bad feeling in your gut, and, it's kind of like, well, you guys should have been ready for it.
Mm-hmm. What's your guys' opinion on the actual, because it's mostly a single-player experience, unless you want to play with a few buddies. What do you guys think of the actual, you have to sign into your Battle.net account in order to play the game?
I can't think of anything more ridiculous at this point, really. It's just why? I understand if you want multiplayer, yeah, but why do I need to have this connection with Blizzard server? There's no point behind it. If you have a PC that's running Diablo, I imagine you have enough space to save the game and your save files and everything else you want to throw on there. Why do I need to be connected to Blizzard? There's no reason behind it. There's absolutely none. It's ridiculous, really.
It'd almost be like if you're playing on, since I'm not a PC guy, it'd be like playing an Xbox game and having to connect to Xbox Live and having a gold account just to play the single player campaign.
Exactly. There's no point for it. It ruins the experience. It really does.
You're not really excited for a game when you have to see a loading screen saying connecting to server. I'm playing on my own.
True. I mean, this is essentially what Ubisoft was doing with the Assassin's Creed series on the PC, where you had their DRM, their digital rights management software, required you to have a constantly online connection in order for you to play the game, regardless if you were playing the multiplayer or not. The single player required you to be online. So this is...
It's ridiculous because, these, to a certain degree, gamers are in a household, right? And they're sharing their bandwidth like other people in the house. Video games can take up a lot of, bandwidth. It makes no sense. It's inconvenient for everybody around.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well... I mean, for the online portion of it, I've imagined that there's not much data being exchanged between the game client and the server, other than that this player has leveled up and saving maybe some character data.
But the fact that you're still connected has got to put at least some kind of strain, right?
Yeah, and I think, when it comes to online gaming and then our internet data caps, that's an entire other conversation that we should have some other time. But I would say that it's a terrible idea, and I think Blizzard's going to pay for it eventually. I don't think it's going to... People are still going to play the game. Still, people are going to buy it in droves, but something will eventually happen. They might include some kind of offline mode like Steam does as well with their clients.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But anyways, we're going to move on to our next subject, which is just our quick notes. And basically, I will start off with the first story of what we have. The BioShock Infinite game from, who was it? Never mind. BioShock Infinite has been delayed until February 26th, making the game another year or so from now. So, hail to the king.
Best birthday present I'm ever going to
have. Yeah. Ansel?
The next Xbox is already in manufacturing phase, and there's a rumor that the announcement for the next Xbox will be at E3. Personally, I don't think it's gonna happen. I believe that they're manufacturing it, but I don't expect any announcement. I think they're already, they've already cleared up the air on that. If, however, Sony makes a move and announces something, I can imagine Microsoft will scramble and make an announcement for something. But until we actually hear something official from Microsoft, don't believe these rumors.
Speaking of the Xbox, Internet Explorer is apparently finally going to get an app. Yes, finally, we're going to have internet on our Xbox. We have everything else on it, but no internet, so we're finally going to get it. Apparently, it will also have Connect features. It won't be mandatory, but they'll also be using their voice-activated Bing tool as well. So, exciting news, especially for people who don't have a laptop next to them. I do, so thankfully I don't need an internet app. But for people who are sitting completely on their own in there, and they're sitting there thinking, well, I have YouTube, I have MSN, I have all this other stuff, why can't I use the internet? You finally have it.
Makes sense a lot for Microsoft, which Bing is their kind of search engine, and they've been losing market share with Internet Explorer left and right. Maybe they can get some more people to re-download it for their computers. Anyways, creator of the Kingdom Hearts series says it's about time that Kingdom Hearts return to the consoles. I am not the biggest fan of the Kingdom Hearts series, so I'm going to let Adam, what do you think of this?
Well, I don't have a PS3, so unless they start shifting all their stuff to Xbox, it still doesn't mean anything to me. But thank God they're finally stopped. They might stop making all these side games on the PlayStation Portable, Vita, 3DS, DS, whatever else they can think of. They probably will have a cell phone game before they make the third game, but
True.
And finally, Elder Scrolls Online will eventually be free to play. Eventually being the key to word. There's no date on it yet. Personally, I don't think it's a good thing because it shows that there's a lack of confidence there that they're already talking about going to free to play. I think they should really set it out, focus on launching the game, and then if the numbers dwindle, then maybe mention free to play. But coming out free to play right away, not a good thing.
I can understand why they're doing it. I mean, it's better than some games that go on for too long and are still, you still have to pay for it. So, I mean, I think what the situation is that it'll probably be out for maybe 2 years, and then once it starts dying down, they might switch it over. But I think it's still not the greatest thing that they've leaked this already. It's not exactly a great thing to tell you before the game's even really been shown off yet.
True.
And you said last but not least, I still have one more piece of news. So, the LEGO series well, of course, we all know the Star Wars, Batman, Indiana Jones, Harry Potter, whatever else you can think of. It's now got its own new series. It will now be shifting to Lord of the Rings. I've never watched the movies. I never read the books, so this means nothing to me. But I do like the Lego games overall. So I am happy to see them still going strong. God only knows what else they can come up with. So all these movie tie-ins, it's got to be exciting. I'm not surprised they went this far yet. So that's good news for Lord of the Rings fans and for Lego fans.
I'm a big fan of the whole LEGO series. Loved the LEGO Star Wars when it first came out. But anyways, this now comes to our open-ended question of the day. This is
New segment.
Basically, where we just throw out a question and each of us will come up with our own little answer to it and we'll debate about them. So the question of the day is, what game series do you think has overstayed its welcome? Basically, what game franchise do you think has been around so long, they're just milking the franchise for cash now, and so on and so forth. So, Amsel, I'm going to let you take this one first, and then we'll go Adam, then I will give my last two bits.
I had to think long and hard about this, because there were like a lot of games I'm looking at and going like, yeah, I wouldn't mind if they disappeared. I was very, very tempted to say Fable, but I have a feeling Fable will die down soon anyways. But if I have to pick one, it will be Final Fantasy. I am sick and tired of Final Fantasy. These games are getting worse and worse and worse, and it seems like Square Enix is not even putting in an effort. I think they should just bang out a nice final game and let it ride off into the sunset.
I'll kind of disagree with that because I did like 13 too. I understand where it's going with 14 being that it already is a colossal failure in Japan and wherever else. I do think that it is a franchise that really has overstayed its welcome to an extent, but I think if they went back to their old roots, they might actually be able to revive it. The same way Mortal Kombat did. I thought I would have put this on this list 2 years ago had it not been for the new game.
Yeah, Final Fantasy is definitely one that's been around the longest in terms of when you think of franchises. I mean, okay, 14 games now coming out, and plus however many other little games. But again, with Adam, I haven't played 13-2, so I can't really say how good that game is. But if you say it's all right, I will believe you on that.
It's better than 13, and 13 was terrible.
13 was terrible. But I will agree with Adam's point that if they return to their kind of roots of, gameplay style, if they go back to a more fantasy, an actual fantasy, basically realm instead of this kind of like sci-fi and post-apocalyptic worlds that they've been at, I think they can actually turn the series around and make it into an actual, just something that will be different than their current stock of stuff.
I guarantee you, if they made the next Final Fantasy to have the old level up system where you didn't choose your abilities, it was a class and you did everything properly, I guarantee you people would love it just because of that. I think everybody's sick of seeing all these different level up branching things that they've been doing. It's a big thing because I don't really like the system that 13 and 13.2 have used because it's kind of like you could skip certain things, but you really don't need to half the time either. But
13 had the worst upgrade system though. It's just like single track. You just go around getting all the things. The best one, I think. I mean, I'm completely biased here because I really love this game. Is the Sphere Grid from Final Fantasy X.
I will agree with that too, and the same reason. It was for an obvious reason. At the beginning of the game, of course, you had to stick by a path, but once you could start getting teleport spheres and all these other things, you could turn Lulu, you could use a Moogle as a doll as your weapon, and have it so ramped up on strength, it'd just be this little tiny doll headbutting this massive monster, and it would do full damage. It was hilarious for that.
Yeah, you can have your weak black mages be as powerful as your, strong swords people, like warriors and stuff.
Because, I'll say this, at least it's not the junction system for me, and I hated that with a fiery passion.
Or the dancing cards things from Final Fantasy X2.
The dress spheres. Oh my god.
Oh wow, that was terrible. Adam, what's your choice?
Okay, I'm going to give the short and the long one. The short one is EA Sports Everything, for obvious reasons. Or as we like to call them, $60 roster updates. But the one that I'm going to explain in very good detail, and please, YouTube, do not kill me for this. Grand Theft Auto is going to be my long answer. And I'm not talking the series as a whole. I'm talking one specific thing, and that's the style that they have built this game. I am sick and tired of having to play as the person they want me to play, in the exact form they want me to play, in the exact voice they want me to play. There's a reason that a lot of people have flocked over to Saints Row, and I think one of them is the fact that you can be whoever you want to be. You could be a superhero, some Japanese schoolgirl. You could be zero punctuation Yahtzee from theescapistmagazine.com. When he reviewed Saints Row 2, he said, that he could make a guy that was like the closest thing to a cousin to the Riddler. Like, you can do anything in that game, and instead in Grand Theft Auto, you have to play as a set character with a set personality, with everything built to be exactly how they want it. If you're going to make a game that revolves around realism, which is what Grand Theft Auto 4 did terribly, I think, in my opinion, because I didn't like getting phone calls every 2 minutes, is that for a game that preaches realism so much, you have no realistic control of your own character except for how many pedestrians you kill by the end of the game. That's really about it.
That's interesting. Because Grand Theft Auto is a very, very beloved series, but I understand where you're going with this, though. Like, I did feel with, for example, Grand Theft Auto 4 that, they got away from what they were really about, and I think that's what they were going for, though. I think they're trying to break out of a mold. Because when you think 1, 2, and 3, you think of, like, beating down hookers, stealing cars, and stuff like that. I think Rockstar wants to go to a more storytelling approach. And I think it all began with Red Dead Redemption, that they started kind of veering off from that. And I think Grand Theft Auto 5 will definitely be like that, where it'll be like, you're this one character, you have your open world to go to, you can do technically whatever you want still, and it's open sandbox, but there's a story to follow along. I don't think Grand Theft Auto is outstayed its welcome in that sense. I think it's interesting the way they're taking it. And I think Saints Row is just picking up where Grand Theft Auto just kind of stopped going. So I understand where you're coming from, but I will have to disagree on that.
See, it's just because for me, it's like how a really terrible example is how, in Japan they're trying to make realistic human-looking robots, right? There's a line where it's called the Uncanny Valley, where you basically get to a point where something gets so real that it actually starts feeling awkward to you. You don't feel like it's a game anymore. And I think if Grand Theft Auto goes a little too far away from what they've already started doing in Grand Theft Auto 4, it might get to the point that it doesn't even feel like it's a game anymore. Like, it's just actually playing life, but you just get to kill people instead.
I think this is, I think it's absolutely going to go down that path where it's going to be more and more realistic just because of the fact that Saints Row exists. Saints Row does what it does, like, really, really well. You can be an absolutely crazy, person that has all these crazy weapons, that has all this stuff in this really, really big sandbox.
Purple dildo bat,
for example. But Grand Theft Auto has always been, ever since, I would say more since San Andreas, maybe post San Andreas into the Final Fantasy, Grand Theft Auto 4 series, obviously, that they want to be a realistic, this is the world, this is your real life, and this is do whatever you want in it. There are cops, there are rules that if you break them, there will be consequences. And I think if they do go down that route, yes, it's going to lead into that Uncanny Valley, but it's going to be an interesting gameplay experience if they can really pull off, real life dramas and real life actual storytelling as well as, gameplay mechanics as well. But I think they need to make that connection to that they are realistic shooters and they can't have these rampages. They can't have, pick up this giant gun and just mow down people. There has to be a realistic, a very realistic approach.
As long as they balance 5, I'll be happy. From how much I did not like how 4 was just way, way too realistic for its own good compared to a game like San Andreas or even Vice City for that matter. I think if they can balance it, I'd be more than happy to try it out again. But right now, until I hear otherwise, I really don't have as much of an interest as I used to.
Mm-hmm. I agree. All right. Well, my final choice, or my choice for the series, has overstayed its welcome. Although I do think that they can reinvigorate the series if they do change the storyline completely. This will not be including the next one that's coming out in November, but the Resident Evil series needs to either leave and die and Capcom can work on something else, or it needs to just change itself completely.
Like actually be scary again?
Yeah, actually be scary.
Who knew? Horror games have to be scary?
I think what they want to do with 6 is actually finish the storyline of, all the stuff that's been happening in if you follow it, the universe of Resident Evil, and just see where all that goes and just basically have the ending to that. Once that happens, I really hope they just, kill off all the characters and start anew. I mean, I really like some of the people that are in there, but it's just the series has gotten so many, people make fun of me for loving the Metal Gear Solid franchise just for the story, but for the people that love the Resident Evil series, your minds must be a complete mess with all the storylines that are going on there.
I agree completely that the Resident Evil needs to either change or just leave. I don't know, it's just there's only so many places you can go with. You look at 5, and I know a lot of people had fun with 5, but it just was not the same. It really was not.
5 has been the worst game in the series, in the main canon series, in my opinion.
It has, and I agree with you. So it's a lot of people are really excited for number 6, and it's to be honest with you, from what we've seen so far, it does look awesome. Don't get me wrong. But I think Resident Evil, I'd like to see what they do with 6. Depending on how 6 plays out, then I think they should go on to figure out what they need to change or what they can tweak. Because it does seem like they have learned a lesson from 5. 6 does look like a promising game.
6 does look different, especially between different storylines between Leon and Chris Redfield. Where Leon's more running and gunning and just stealthily running away from zombies, and it's more survival horror, where Chris is more of the Resident Evil 5, shoot everything in sight, I have a massive gun, I have massive biceps, get in my way, please, I will kill you. Yeah. That type of stuff.
Exactly. So I would like to see what they do with 6 before I wish this series would do something different.
Yeah.
And you can tell they've been milking it too. I mean, Operation Raccoon City is such a great example of them milking it. It's a terrible game. I mean, I know some people that do like it just because of the co-op, but the fact that they still go back to, when a franchise is milking something, when it goes back to what people love most about it, and they go back to the second game where people think of it as the best one. Yeah. And they're going back to it saying, oh, look, here's what happened while this was all happening. Mm-hmm. It's such a cop-out. It's I'm trying to think of a good example right now. I can't think of one right now. But, I mean, you guys can probably think off the top of your heads when you really think about how many games go back to old sections of past games just to say, oh, yeah, remember this thing? Buy this game now because you'll get to see it again.
Tony Hawk, any Pro Skater after 3, or any Underground. Just milking the series with different levels that are from the first game. I completely agree with that. That it's just milking the series for all it's worth, and it's getting annoying. With just all the different things that have come out in the past while. There was a DS game that I'm sure was all right in its own sense, but it was it was $50 for that game, by the way. And Raccoon City, Operation Raccoon City, again, another, example of just milking. Although I will say it does look like a cool topic, cool kind of game that would be kind of fun to play in theory. But in practice, I mean, obviously it hasn't done well in terms of sales.
The concept itself was a great idea. I mean, when you think about it, there are a lot of how many shooters do you get to have a lot of fun co-op action? Yeah, and especially in a series like this where you have actually the potential of being scared. It's just they forgot to actually know how to scare people again.
Yeah, if there was a world where Left 4 Dead didn't exist, then yeah, absolutely, it would be a great idea. But I mean, everything that Raccoon City does, Left 4 Dead does. Has done it first and does it better than this game so far. The only thing I can say that's really kind of cool is those random bunches of mindless zombies and the infection kind of gameplay stuff that you have inside the game as well.
Yeah, but zombies zombies another thing that's overstayed. Can I say that too? Zombies have overstayed their welcome in the gaming industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
They do make for good mini games though.
Yeah, but it's not even they're trying. The next PS3 exclusive, what is it called now? Oh my god, I forget now. but it is a survival horror kind of thing, and the trailer.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I can't think of the name either.
Describe it for me. Use your words, gentlemen.
Last Days of Us or something like that. Something like that.
Oh, Last of Us.
Yes, Last of Us. See, it's the same thing. It's zombies. Surprise. Most of the defense nowadays is zombies. Surprise. Call of Duty Black Ops is gonna go back to Nazi zombies or whatever zombies it is.
Which was,
I guess it's in the future, so it'll be like future zombies.
Future Nazi zombies. Although, to be honest, that isn't the main gameplay point. It is kind of a fun side game. That's the only credits I will give to Call of Duty.
I think legit just only zombie games are getting to the point. Like Dead Rising, as much as Dead Rising was fun when it first came out, it's just a massive, look, here's this massive place with zombies, go have fun.
Yeah.
It's to the point where it's like, okay, we've seen this way too many times before.
I think people are legitimate. I think game developers are legitimately afraid to go back to the actual horror side of zombies. Like, they want to have, people where you just shoot everything. They don't want to go back to the, the weird, like, rigid camera angle, Resident Evil series or stuff again. Like, they're afraid to.
Even Silent Hill is going away from it. And Silent Hill used to be the scariest game ever. Yeah. Like, I think the last legit scary game was probably The Condemned. Was the original Condemned.
I would disagree with you there. I would say Dead Space was legitimately freaking me out.
It is for maybe like the first like half an hour, but once you get used to it, you can kind of tell the patterns. That was the problem I had with it too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was scary at the beginning. Oh yeah, no, I will agree that the beginning of the game scared the crap
out of me. Especially when the first like little bit where you don't have a weapon and you got a necromorph coming right at you and you run into the elevator, the doors aren't closing, it comes after you and just runs after you and then it just gets squished by the elevator doors, which is really kind of gruesome but cool. That was really fast, but
but as that game got on, like you eventually started hearing, oh okay, I can tell when this guy's gonna pop out of this shaft here, da da da. Mm-hmm. And then once you have too many good weapons, like it gets to the point where you're like, okay, well, even if you do scare me, you're going to die.
Yeah, true. What about you, Amsel? What was your last really scary game you played?
Oh dear,
actually scared the crap out of you.
The last thing that actually scared the crap out of me was my Xbox Red Ringing.
So true.
Scary ever.
But actual
Microsoft Tech was the scariest game ever.
The actual game-wise that really actually managed to scare me. Oh dear, it's just weird because I don't actually play a whole lot of survival horror, so to me it's very limited in that sense. But I will say I've actually never played Dead Space. I've seen a buddy play it, and that was kind of like, oh, okay, this game is creepy, and I actually picked it up the other day, so I'm really excited to check out Dead Space. But like I said, from what I was looking at it, like those space babies or whatever they were, those creepy, man.
Babies scare a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm really excited to actually play it on my own, and I was talking to a friend, and like the goal is to play it at night with the lights off. We'll see how that works out. I'm sure I will be turning the lights on and running out in a little bit, but I think that Dead Space from what I saw of it, it looked really creepy, it looked lots of fun, and I'm really, really excited to try it out.
The other game I will mention too is something that did a very unique version of it too was Fear.
Oh yeah.
The original Fear, because 2 and 3 were not really that scary. Because you kind of got used to it, but the first game, I remember going down a ladder and seeing Alma suddenly come towards you and go, oh shit, get down the ladder. And you're like, okay, it's safe. And then you turn to your left, and there's the ghost of Paxton just go, bah! And you're just...
Scaring the living crap out of you.
Double trouble right there.
Fear was just a really unique game overall, because it was a first-person survival horror game, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And it wasn't what I expected at all, but yeah.
I mean, I played through 2 and 3. 2 was like a mix. There were still a few scary things. 3 was just, okay, let's see how much blood we can spatter on the screen in one shot.
Yeah. But anyways, I think that's it for us right now. I mean, we can go on and on about these horror games, and we probably will. But we have to end it at some point. So thanks for listening to Download Opinions. I'm Brian Best. You can follow me on Twitter at Brian Best. That's BrianBest. Adam, why don't you say your piece?
Adam Gaten here. You can follow me, as always, on my Twitter account, ADAMGAETAN.
And last but not least, me, yours truly. Follow me at Twitter at amsalk, at AMSALK.
Alrighty, and that's it, you guys. Thanks for joining us in Downloadable Opinions. We will see you next week. Ah, crap, guys. I wasn't recording.
I'll kill
you're
you.
lying.